Alright, so welcome everyone online and in person to this Wednesday wellness event where we invite teachers from all traditions from around the world to speak about meditation. So these sessions are suitable for beginners as well as more experienced practitioners. We're able to learn about meditation techniques from different traditions, and you also have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have for the teacher. So today we have Monk Ariyañāṇa with us. So he is back from a previous session, and we really look forward to learning from Bhante again. He is coming from to us all the way from Sri Lanka online. And also, before I start, I'd also like to very importantly pay respects to the Triple Gems, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And I will pay respects to the traditional owners of the land, the Dharma people on which we're able to do our session here today. And I pay respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So the topic of the session today is grounding the mind, reflections for a better meditation. So what does that mean? What are the reflections for us to better our meditation? And I'm so looking forward to learning more about this topic today. So we have Venerable Ariyañāṇa, a former flamenco dancer turned monk, to join and share with us 4 key steps to prepare our mind for deeper meditation, a guided meditation to practice them, and a Q&A session to conclude. So a little bit about Bhante as well. He is born in Stefano Dormit Servo in Brazil, and a former flamenco dancer who captivated global audiences with his performances until 2015, when he embarked on a transformative quest as a Theravada Buddhist monk. So, inspired by his mother, he at the age of 11 followed her footsteps, initially playing percussion, and then dancing, teaching, choreographing after. Then, inspired by Bhante Dhammadipa, he wanted to learn more about Buddhism, and in 2015 he embarked on this transformative inner journey. He learned about the Paok tradition in Myanmar from Thomas Dhammadipa. There he spent approximately 7 years, first as a lay person and then as a monastic, under the guidance of Paok Sayadaw, his preceptor, and other teachers such as B. Kumara B. Vamsa. Continuing his spiritual path in 2022, Bhante joined Nisaya Mutaka course in the International Institute of Theravada in Sri Lanka, where he now deepens his traditional Theravada Buddhist studies and leads the English language studies for monastics. Okay, so as always, this session will be interactive, so if you have any questions in person, you may put your hand up, or online, you can type your questions in the chat, or we can also you can also put your virtual hand up and unmute yourself to ask your question or make a comment. And this session is recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube later on. Okay, so that is all. Thank you, and I'll pass over to Bhante now.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for Metta Center for organizing all of this. Thank you, Sing Sing, for connecting us. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Ariyañāṇa, as it was already introduced. And I'm Brazilian, originally from Brazil, and I was a flamenco dancer for several years. And then I made quite a big change to being a monk in the Theravada tradition, and I spent 7 years in Myanmar, and then I came to Sri Lanka to do my pariyatti, my studies of the Dhamma, some traditional studies, and here I am, more or less around halfway through my course. It's a 6-year course, So I'm here to share with you a little bit of what I'm learning. So today I wanted to talk, since we're going to talk about meditation, I want to talk about a few things we can do to help us prepare the mind for meditation. Because when we immediately start meditating, it's okay, we can do that, right? But there are some reflections which are suggested or encouraged for us to do before the meditation. So that kind of helps settle the mind, helps maybe suppress a little bit of the unwholesome states, helps tranquilize the mind, and it helps also give rise or generate some of the wholesome states that will help us have a better meditation. Okay, so let's begin with these reflections. So the first one is seeing the disadvantages, or the word used is adinava, the dangers in the sense objects, in sense pleasures. So that's the first reflection that we see. So here you will see a pattern throughout the Buddha's teachings, which is of seeing disadvantages of things that we are supposed to gradually decrease and avoid, and seeing the advantages of the things we want to develop. The advantages of morality, of concentration, of wisdom, of nibbana, and so on. So here we start by doing this very same thing. We reflect on the disadvantages of sense objects. Here, sense objects refers to, of course, for the most part, let's say, pleasant things, which are objects of the senses. So we could think of material things, for example, is an easy example of that, material things. So these material things, if we have attachment to them, if we have craving for them, as we normally have, right? If we let the mind go without training, and it always follows this direction. It follows on this direction, which is the flow, the current of the craving, right? So here we have to. What is suggested is to see the disadvantages of these objects, and that will help do the very opposite, which is to let go or reduce or calm down a little bit our craving, our thirst for objects of the senses. So here there are many ways we could do that. There are 10 similes or metaphors which are used for sense objects. So I'll give you some of them, maybe 1, 2, or maybe 3. And you can use them, whichever you prefer, or even all 10. You can use as ways of developing this, let's say, this detachment a little bit towards these sense objects. So the first one is Attikankalupama. You will find this on Majjhima Nikaya, for example, in several places, actually in the Vinaya texts it also appears. So the Buddha compares sense objects to bones, or a chain of bones, or we could say a skeleton, for example. So in which sense it is like a skeleton? So imagine, for example, you're a hungry dog, okay? He's looking to satisfy his hunger and his thirst, to quench his thirst. But then he's given a chain of bones, and then he chews on those bones, gnawing on those bones, and they don't really satisfy his hunger. So that's like sensual pleasures. They have little satisfaction in them. They do have some satisfaction, right? They do have some satisfaction. The Buddha doesn't deny that, right? They do have some pleasure in them, some satisfaction in them. But dissatisfaction, the Buddha says, is little. Okay? So, appasada, there is little satisfaction in these sense objects. Okay? Appasada. And they have much trouble or much suffering in them. Not necessarily in them, sometimes in themselves, or sometimes the attachment to them leads to suffering, leads to trouble. So in order to achieve, to get the things that we want, the satisfaction from those sense objects, we need to go through lots of troubles. For example, to get a nice house, we need to work a lot. And to build a family, we also have to go through the difficulties. So to get a little bit of that satisfaction that these sense objects give. So that's the first reflection. They are like a bone for a hungry dog. They don't really give us, let's say, lasting or true satisfaction. Okay? So that's a disadvantage, that if you reflect in this way, your mind will slightly let go a little bit more of that and let's say calm down a little bit the force of this thirst, the force of this craving. Okay, so like a bones. Next one is like a piece of meat. So these sense objects are like a piece of meat. In which sense? Imagine hungry birds. Okay, for example, crows. And one of them gets a piece of meat. What do you think will happen? So that small piece of meat, if he can eat it, it just gives him a little bit of a satisfaction. It doesn't really satisfy him. But as soon as he gets a piece of meat, all the other crows, all the other birds around him will also try to take it. They will also enter into conflict. They may even hurt him, may even kill him if he doesn't let go of that piece of meat, right? So in this sense, these sense objects, they are impermanent, and they hurt, let's say. They are dangerous for those who are attached to them, for those who hold to them. So in this sense, they are like a piece of meat. Okay? So we should not hold on to them. Another example is like a grass torch. A torch made of grass, which burns very quickly, and if you keep on holding to it, will burn you as well. So sense objects, they do provide a little bit of that satisfaction, but if we hold on to them, it necessarily leads to that to the burning of the suffering from separation, the suffering from painful results throughout samsara, etc. So this is another way we can compare the sense objects. So they are like bones, they are like a piece of meat, and they are like a grass torch. So there are other similes or metaphors you can use to compare the sense objects in order to see their disadvantages. Mostly it focuses on the fact that they are impermanent, that they are like, for example, they are like borrowed goods. They are borrowed goods because when you borrow something, you know it's not really yours because you will have to return it. So everything, all these sense objects are like borrowed goods in a sense. Even they belong to us in the conventional sense. It is just temporarily actually. So they are like borrowed goods, for example. There are other reflections you can do. They are temporarily, they are like a dream, etc. Okay? So this overall, seeing the disadvantages of these sense objects is the first reflection, the first preliminary work for meditation. So this, what it does is, it counteracts that constant force of craving that we have in the mind. So if you do that before your meditation, whichever meditation you want to do, then that will help you calm down a little bit that craving, and it will help settle your mind a little bit better. Okay, so that's the first reflection. Okay, now the second reflection, remember I told you we see the disadvantages of something and then the advantages of what we want to develop. So this is the second reflection, or the second step, let's say, which is to see like the benefits of nekkhamma. Nekkhamma is a word which can refer to several things, but in the beginning, or we could say at this stage, would be the first jhana. Okay, so nekkhamma is the first jhana. We could say nekkhamma is, for example, becoming a monk is a type of nekkhamma, or even giving something is a type of nekkhamma, right? So a type of detachment, right? But here nekkhamma has this meaning, which is for the jhanas, and also upachara samadhi, which is neighborhood concentration before the jhana. So and then later, of course, vipassana and path, fruition, nibbana. All these are within what is here nekkhamma. Okay, this renunciation. We can think of all these benefits in the path to nibbana. So these are nekkhamma. So we generate some desire for this nekkhamma. We see the benefits in this nekkhamma. So I'll take the first jhana as the first goal, let's say. So what are the benefits of the first jhana, or of jhana in general? There's many, right? But, for example, the jhana, or deep concentration, even upachara samadhi, they help suppress the hindrances, right? So the hindrances are those gross, unwholesome mental state that when they are in our minds, they really prevent us from being able to concentrate deeply. And even in our normal tasks, day-to-day tasks, these hindrances can really affect your ability to focus and concentrate, and your ability to understand and just follow your activities well. So these hindrances are removed with this development of concentration. They are particularly suppressed at the moment of this neighborhood concentration before absorption, and then they are even more suppressed in absorption and higher absorptions and so on. So being free from these hindrances is one of the benefits. Okay? And then even the Buddha compares being free from hindrances to a person, for example, who is deeply indebted, and then he finally is free from debt. He can finally pay, or he's released, he's pardoned from his debts, for example. So that type of freedom is compared to this freedom from the hindrances. Or another one is if you're lost in a dangerous place, for example, in a desert or a dangerous area, and then you finally find safety. So that's another comparison to being free from hindrances. So just an example of the type of benefit that concentration can bring us. Okay, so that's just one of the first benefits. Then, of course, you will have a mind which is stronger, more tranquil, more peaceful, and with much more happiness. You'll be able to do your activities much better. And whatever merit you do in your life, be it studying, be it other types of meditation, be it service, and so on and so forth, will be enhanced by the power of your concentration, because your mind is more developed, is more peaceful, your faith is stronger, your happiness is stronger, you're free from laziness, which kind of weakens the mind. So all of this helps not only the meditation in the cushion, but also helps you outside of the cushion to do your activities, especially your meritorious activities, with full power, let's say, full throttle. Okay? So that's another benefit. Then we could go on into more and more benefits. For example, the jhanas themselves are like pleasant abidings here and now in the present. So you can always enter in that pleasant absorption and be with a very peaceful, powerful mind. So that's one of the benefits. Another one is as a base for vipassana. It enhances very much your vipassana practice, the power of your mind to be able to see phenomena and to understand their characteristics, and to be able to go the step further, which is to attain path and fruition and see nibbana. So those are all benefits that come with this nekkhamma, with this first jhana and other jhanas as well. Upachara samadhi, the vicinity concentration also included. So these benefits, all of these benefits, even I didn't mention, for example, some psychic powers, for example, being able to see things that the eyes normally cannot see and so forth, being able to see past lives and so on. So these are all benefits that come with this nekkhamma. Okay? So by focusing on them, by reflecting on these benefits, naturally the mind will incline to that. It will incline towards developing it. It will incline towards spending more time in meditation, for example. It will incline into higher and higher stages. Okay? So basically we do this throughout the entire training, the entire spiritual path. We could say the path of self-mastery as well, which is to see the disadvantages in the unwholesome, in what we want to give up. Even later, at later stages, we see advantages of good things. For example, after we attain concentration, you cannot just remain in concentration, right? The Buddha wants us to go a step further, because concentration is not enough to put an end to samsara, right? So you have to see the disadvantages of the first jhana, and then the advantages of the second jhana. Then your mind will incline to the second jhana. Will let go of the first, incline to the second. Then you do the same for the second, to let go of the second and attain the third. Same for the fourth, and so on. Then you see the disadvantages of all sankharas and the advantages of nibbana. So all these stages of the practice, we are seeing disadvantages in what we want to give up and advantages of what we want to develop. So you can apply this to your life itself, not even only in the practice. Whatever you want to develop, try to focus on its advantages. What are its benefits? Okay? Be it a study or a good occupation, whatever it is, this type of thing will help you go through the difficulties. Okay? It will incline you towards that thing. And then look at the disadvantages of the things you want to give up. For example, even a person who wants to observe precepts, for example, he'll look at the disadvantages in killing, for example. Disadvantages in stealing, in sexual misconduct, in lying, in consuming intoxicants, and so on, right? Whatever precepts you want to follow, you pay attention to the disadvantages of doing those things. They break your mental tranquility, they accumulate unwholesome karma, which can produce existences in woeful states or unpleasant situations, experiences in the future, etc. And you focus on the benefits of following sila, the benefits of abstaining from killing, stealing, lying, so on, which are many, I'm sure you know about. Okay? So we begin by doing these two reflections, which is to the disadvantages of sense objects, to be able to let go, and the advantages or the benefits of nekkhamma, here in this case, the first jhana. Okay? Then the mind will generate some type of desire for that first jhana. Then this desire is not the desire of lust. It's a desire which is wholesome. It's a wholesome, we may call it kusala chanda. It's a type of desire to achieve something good, something wholesome, something which is actually connected with letting go. So this is not the unwholesome desire of lust. Okay? So we generate this good desire for nekkhamma. So that's the second reflection you can do. And if you do that, then your mind will incline towards staying with your meditation subject more. And whatever your activity you see as beneficial, and it will help you stabilize the mind on your practice and reach deeper and deeper stages more easily. Okay? Now the third one, after we've seen the benefits of this and generated this desire for nekkhamma, then we need a little bit of an element of happiness in the mind. So happiness is the antidote for anger or of states of aversion. Anger, even states like connected to aversion, such as worry, for example. All of these are, let's say, fixed by enough happiness in the mind. So we can develop happiness, and in this case, we develop happiness by reflecting on the qualities of the triple gem. So the qualities of the Buddha, the 9 qualities, we have the standard 9 qualities of the Buddha, for example, and then or the Dhamma and the Sangha, all, of course, the 3 of them. No? So by reflecting on these qualities, which are special qualities, they are not normal qualities, then you can generate this type of gladness or this type of happiness, which is also connected with confidence. So this will also give you enough grounding and happiness, which will refresh your mind and will help you concentrate and focus on your practice for much longer, okay? So here the qualities of the Buddha you know very well, but let's go through them. They are Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vidyacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarathi Satta Deva Manussanang Buddho Bhagava. Right? Then we have Swakkato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandittiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Panaiko Pachattam Veditabbo Vinyuhi. The qualities of the Dhamma, right? And then we have the qualities of the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango, Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango, Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango, Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango. Yadidan Chattari Purisa Yugani, Atta Purisa Puggala, Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sango. Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkineyo Anjalikaraniyo, Anuttarang Punyaketang Lokassa. So all these qualities that I'm sure you're familiar with and that represent some of the qualities of the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So by reflecting on these 3, we increase a little bit the level of happiness, piti. Piti pamoja is the word used. Piti pamoja, like gladness, maybe we could say, happiness, based on this confidence towards the triple gem. Okay? Here, I'll just make a footnote here. For example, if a person wants to develop the first jhana, for example, and he's not Buddhist, because this is not exclusive to Buddhists, then in this case he should try to develop happiness and confidence in his practice, in the fact that we can develop concentration. You must have some confidence in these states in order to achieve them. Another thing is confidence in the law of karma, in this principle that our deeds, our volitional deeds, produce results according to their nature in the future, right? So that's another type of confidence that is important for your practice to develop and reach depth, the depth you want. Okay? Okay, so here what is suggested is to develop this based on the triple gem. So that's the 3rd reflection. Then, when you remember the triple gem, then there is another thing you can remember, which is some type of awe, A-W-E, awe, or maybe respect, we could say, for the practice which leads to Nekkhamma. So, by thinking of the entire practice here, we could think of the entire training, for example, the practice of morality, the practice of concentration, the jhanas, and so on, vicinity concentration, and the practice of vipassana, seeing the 3 characteristics, and attaining the paths and fruitions, the 4 paths, 4 fruitions, seeing nibbana. So this entire practice, this entire patipatti, this practice, has been fulfilled, has been walked by all the Buddhas in the past. All the Pacceka Buddhas, those silent Buddhas who attain Nibbana by themselves, they have also practiced this patipatti, this practice, step by step. And all the Arahants, Savaka Buddhas, also have practiced this very same path. So by remembering this, you can have, let's say, enough determination, enough confidence to go through all the difficulties, because the hindrances have been suppressed, have been removed by all of these living beings in the past. And they are doing it now in the present, and they will do it in the future. So by having this confidence, it will help you believe that you can do it yourself as well, and it will help you go through the difficulties. Okay? So this is seeing, having some type of respect for this patipati. This patipati includes all these steps I've mentioned that lead to all of these benefits of jhana, the benefits of vipassana, the benefits of attaining magga phala and realizing nibbana. Okay? So this is the next reflection. Are we okay, Nikesh?
Yeah. I'm wondering if we would like to do a little meditation now
okay.
Before further discussion. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah. Can I conclude this section?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Now it's 3.
Just a suggestion. Of course, it's still up to you if you would like to keep the Dharma talk or move to meditation. Yes.
Yeah, I'll just finish maybe this section, and then we have all these reflections, and then we can meditate, put them in practice. Okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, we develop this type of respect, no? Type of respect or awe by seeing, by thinking that all of these, the Buddhas, Pacceka Buddhas, Arahants, noble disciples, these noble individuals have trodden this path that we are now trying to trod, trying to walk, trying to fulfill. Okay? And then the last reflection is to develop a type of energy, okay? Type of effort that we'll need in order to fulfill this practice. Okay? So we do that by thinking that surely if I follow in this way, by following the Buddha's teachings, his instructions, by practicing meditation correctly according to the instructions with respect to the Buddha and all the tradition and so on, I will surely experience the benefits. Of course, this depends on our ability as well, and past merit and present conditions, but for sure, if I practice this and if I keep developing and fulfilling this patipati, this practice, I will reach for sure the bliss of jhana, the bliss of attaining nibbana. Okay? So this is the last reflection. So let's recap all of them. First, we see the disadvantages in sense objects to reduce craving and attachment and that thirst for objects. Then we see the benefits in nekkhamma, in particular here the first jhana. And we develop in this way some desire for it, which is kusala chanda. Then we reflect on the triple gem, the qualities of the triple gem, and increase our faith, our saddha, and the piti pamoja, the type of happiness based or that associates this confidence. Then we develop some awe, some respect for the practice itself by thinking that all of these enlightened beings have done this practice, have fought the hindrances, have developed vipassana step by step, and they were also burdened by defilement. So it is possible to follow this path, just like they have done. And finally, the effort that we need, that surely if we put effort and we keep following this practice, we'll surely be able to experience the fruits, the results of this practice. Okay? So with these reflections, your mind will be much more inclined to your meditation subject. The hindrances or the unwholesome states of mind will be much more, let's say, suppressed or calmed down. And you'll be able to get much more from your meditation praxis and whatever activities you're doing in general. So I encourage you to do these reflections, even if you're not meditating, for example, because they help suppress the hindrances, they help calm you down, and they help mature good qualities as well. Then apart from that, there are other reflections that you could do, reflections even on the area of vipassana, reflections for each of the hindrances, reflections to help have more faith, reviewing suttas that you like, for example, that inspire you, or also important, reviewing the instructions for the meditation to avoid doubt. So these are all things you can do in order to kind of prepare the land for sowing your seeds, which is your meditation practice. Okay? So now, let's do a little bit of a practical part of our meeting. So I'll ask you to maybe sit straight wherever you are, be it on a chair or on your sofa or on the floor, wherever you are. And I'll just ask you to find a comfortable position. And most important is to keep your back straight, okay? So just try to find a position where your back is straight without much effort, and you feel like comfortable but also alert, okay? So now just allow your mind to settle and calm down a bit. I'll just give you some instructions and you follow me. So let's start with these reflections, even though we've done them already, actually, in our talk. So you can just think for a moment, reflect on the disadvantages or the dangers in sense objects. They are like a bones, they are like a piece of meat, they are like a grass torch. The satisfaction in them is little, and the trouble, the pain that is connected to them is much greater. Then we consider the benefits of attaining concentration, of attaining nibbana as well, and our mind inclines to that. So being free from defilements, which causes a lot of stress and trouble, being free from unwholesome states, unwholesome and lower existences, etc. Then we increase the happiness and faith by recollecting some of the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. We also reflect that this path, this practice of sila, samadhi, panya, concentration and wisdom was also developed, it's a path that was trodden by all of these enlightened ones, Buddhas, Pacceka Buddhas and Arahants. And lastly, that if we put effort and we pursue this practice respectfully and correctly, we'll certainly reap these benefits, the fruits of this practice. So now with the mind inclined to meditation, I'll bring you to one of the Buddha's qualities, for example, Arahang. So Siddhartha, the prince, he renounced and he found by himself the way to remove all unwholesome mental states, and he was able to achieve this state of this, let's say, freedom from all unwholesome states. So the Buddha is an arahant. He destroyed the enemies which are the unwholesome state. So he's free from greed, free from hatred, free from delusion. And this is why he is an arahant or arhat. So just reflect on this quality and maintain your mind stable and concentrated on this quality. As always, if you have any distraction or that mindset you feel like it was lost, just re-establish the same. In this case, just remember the arahang quality of the Buddha. Arahang, arahang, arahang. Now we can reflect on one of the qualities of the Dhamma. One of the qualities of the Dhamma is that it is akalika. Akalika means, unlike everything else, the noble path produces its result immediately. So that's one of the special qualities of this Dhamma. In this case, not any Dhamma, but in particular, the noble path. So just contemplate or focus your mind on this quality of the noble path taught by the Buddha, that it produces its result immediately. It's akalika. Now finally, let's take a quality of the Sangha. So one of the qualities of the Sangha is that it is an unsurpassed field of merit for the world. So those noble individuals in particular, they are a field of merit. Living beings can make much merit by making merit towards the Sangha. So the Sangha is a field or unsurpassed field of merit for the world. Okay, so now slowly you can come back, relax and open your eyes. So now we can open for a few questions. Do you have any questions? Sing Sing?
Does anyone have any questions? I do have a question, but perhaps if other people have other questions, you can ask. Sophia? Sorry, you're on mute, Sophia.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I do have one or two questions, so I can ask them. If no one...
Go ahead, Susie. I'll ask us after you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bante,
you're welcome,
the step-by-step instruction, and I could clearly see why it is important to go through them first as the preliminary requirements, because sometimes people just jump into meditation hoping to, get some kind of experience, but without, strong foundation in ethics and all these other processes that are necessary. It's like a blind spot. People just miss the point, because the ethics are very closely related to the calmness of the mind. So
yes,
I think it makes sense with you when you ask us to reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So my question is, I feel that for us Buddhists who are already familiar with the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma and Sangha, reflecting on those can evoke some kind of faith or saddha or the devotional qualities, which can really enhance the meditation more. But for people who, let's say, are not Buddhist and maybe they're not even thinking about Nibbana or whatever, but let's say they want to also get the peace of mind in meditation, but not in the direction of Nibbana, and they don't really know much about the qualities of the Buddha, can they do something similar by reflecting on virtuous qualities such as like kindness or loving kindness and so on, which are not necessarily the Buddha's qualities? Would that be also possible? I know most of us are Buddhists, but if there are non-Buddhists who don't really know much about the Buddha's qualities, would that help?
Yes. Yeah, it's a good question. Even I briefly tried to touch on that point, when we were discussing about that. So the main factor here is that you're adding to your mind, you're injecting a little bit of confidence. And confidence here, we have to discuss confidence in what? And the other is happiness. And this must be some type of wholesome happiness, right? We discussed last time that we have sometimes some types of unwholesome happiness, right? So here it should be some wholesome happiness and confidence in something that must be, for example, in this case, the Buddha, the qualities of the Triple Gem, but in the case of a non-Buddhist, it would be, for example, confidence in the practice itself. You should have enough confidence that this practice leads to the suppression of hindrances, it leads to absorption. You need some amount of confidence in this practice. Okay? So that's one of the things this person could do at this point. Another one is a confidence, which this is a requirement to go actually deeper into meditation and be able to actually come close to the absorption, is to have confidence in the law of karma. This, if we look into meditative traditions, contemplative traditions, those who teach jhanas, they also teach some form of the law of karma. They all have sometimes with slight variations, but they all believe in this principle that our good actions produce good results, and our unwholesome actions, let's say, produce unfavorable or painful results in the future. So that's, let's say, a requirement. To have this type of confidence, we could say this type of faith, or this type of understanding as well, in the law of karma, okay? So, but this is a requirement for, let's say, for a person who is really trying to get deeper into this. So for a person who is, doesn't have this, let's say, this belief in the law of karma, this person can still begin to meditate, and you can start meditating, and you'll be able to develop to a certain extent, no? Without this belief in karma. You'll be able to develop to some extent. So if I'm, for example, now I've been to Brazil recently, and also Spain, then I touch on the subject of the law of karma, but I teach that anyone can start meditating regardless of their beliefs, right? Anyone can pay attention to the in and out breathing, or anyone can wish the welfare of another person, practicing metta, for example. So today I chose this, let's say, Buddhist meditation subject. So we did Buddha Dhamma Sangha Nusati. So it's particular to Buddhists. But in Brazil or in Spain, I tell them that they can get some of the benefits of meditation regardless of their beliefs. Okay, so they don't necessarily have to accept this law right in the beginning. I think it's better if it's a more smooth transition to that. A person who is meditating, gradually wholesome states will become stronger. He'll be able to maybe more easily understand and accept eventually this principle, which is an important principle, no? The samadhi, which is right view, right? This belief in the law of karma. So I feel like at this stage, to prepare the mind, you need some happiness and a little bit of confidence. So confidence in this practice, in the fact that we can develop the mind, we can suppress the hindrance, and happiness. So happiness, some wholesome happiness. So it could be, for example, any of happiness towards good qualities of another, for example, of whatever teacher you're following, for example, and developing happiness, for example, towards good virtues that you have developed or others have developed. Some type of mudita, some type of metta, I think, would work maybe at this stage. Would help also remove any aversion, states of aversion towards living beings. There's actually many reflections we can do, and that you should investigate. This is an interesting area which you can investigate. What helps you the most? What type of reflections help you the most? One, for example, nice, is the recollection that at any moment we may die. Our life may end at any moment, right? So that, if you reflect on it properly, will give you the sense of urgency to practice, to follow the virtues, to make merit, and so on. So that's, for example, another reflection that can help you in different ways, no? But I feel like here is some type of kusala happiness and confidence in this practice.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante, and I invite anyone else who may have a question to ask a question, anyone in person or online. I can ask one in the meantime. Bhante, I have a question regarding this practice.
Okay.
So usually for meditation practices, our mind is resting on something. So if we're doing breath meditation, our mind is resting on the breath. If we're doing metta, it could be on the feeling of metta. So for reflective practices like these, I find that mind wanders a lot more easily. Yeah. So it will go into thinking mode rather than being the present. And it kind of bounces between the two. So where is the mind resting on? Is it the quality? Is it the feeling? Is it the thinking? Like, where's the mind resting in this type of meditation?
So this, we call them reflections. Maybe we call the Pali word could be paccavekkhana, some type of reflection. So we are actually more like thinking in this, at this point, this preparation, let's say, this warm-up for the meditation. Some of these reflections, they are really thoughts. So we are using vitakka, the force of thinking, and we are using concepts. So we're not really resting on a single object, for example, at that time. So we are just reflecting on things. Then this reflection arouses some good qualities, some good states. Even when we are studying, for example, the Dhamma, or just pondering on words, or when a monk or someone is reciting a text and reflecting on that, those thoughts, of course, we are changing object frequently and we are using concepts, different concepts, for example. But it arouses some good qualities. It arouses some, and it suppresses some unwholesome qualities as well. So here, they are more like reflections. I wouldn't call them really kammattanas, like meditation subjects, full-fledged. They are more like reflections to prepare you for that. But for example, the reflection on the qualities of the Buddha, that you could use it as an actual kammattana, for example, as a preparation for another kammattana that you may have, as a main kammattana. So some of these preparations can be actual kammattanas that you develop for a short time before you enter into your actual practice, or they are just reflections, just thoughts. But just because they are thoughts, it doesn't mean that they don't help, let's say, suppress the unwholesome qualities and arouse the good qualities. But if you dwelt in these reflections, you would not be able to go deep into concentration. So they are just reflections to help you prepare for that, to help you prepare the mind, to arouse certain mental state, and then you enter into your meditation, which will take you deeper.
Thank you, Bhante. And you mentioned kammattana. Do you mind just explaining what that means and how we use those?
Yeah, so we have kammattanas are, kamma is like work, okay? Kamma. Sometimes we translate it as action, like the law of kamma is like volitional action, but here is more like work. And what is the work? Is the work of cultivation, the work of development, the work of meditation. Okay, that's the work here. The work of developing the mind, but in particular, good mental states. So this work, you need a place to work. Okay, so that's the kammattana, is the place to work. This refers to two things. Either it refers to the object itself, which is what I was referring to when I said kammattana, the object of meditation. As you said, it's the place where we rest our minds or where we anchor our mind, our mindfulness, in order to develop the good states, good mental states. So that's our kammattana. That's our office. Okay? So that's one meaning of kammattana. And the other is the development itself, kammattana. Okay? But most of the time we use it as meditation subject. That's one of the translations of kammattana. But literally it means like the working place.
I love learning that. That's how it sounds in Pali. It kind of creates an imagery of what we're doing when we're in meditating, resting our minds. It's like a workplace, an office for the mind to just work on itself, but also rest on itself. While we're having this discussion, we've got someone with a question. Juliana asked, thank you, Bhante. Can I clarify further if this reflection needs to be done in order as you described? And when I think about integrating this to the meditation, it might be normal to forget the steps. Any specific advice usually given for a newbie who wants to integrate this for their meditation? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Very practical. Yeah, I would, for example, just maybe incorporate one of them, and then when you're very used to it, you can incorporate the other, and then you can incorporate the other. You can gradually get used to this step-by-step preparation, and here it opens up for a nice discussion, which is you can make your own custom-made preparation for your meditation practice in general. So when you're meditating, you observe your inclinations, right? Your tendencies, and you'll see your shortcomings, your weaknesses, and what are your strengths as well. And then you can gradually, with your pariyatti knowledge, with the knowledge of the Buddha's teachings, the theoretical knowledge, you can slowly find the reflections or the things, including some kamatanas, meditation subjects, that can help, let's say, harmonize your mind, calm down your mind. Okay, so that depends on your tendencies, your character, for example. Okay, so here you can make your own custom-made preparation, warm-up, depending on your conditions. So this is a step-by-step given as a general guidance, let's say. And it doesn't mean you have to do that. You can directly go into your meditation if you want to. But this really helps prepare the mind, like prepare the ground for the mind, for the work, right? So one pattern that I would try to maintain is disadvantages first and then advantages later. I would really try to maintain that, because we see that pattern all throughout the teaching, okay? Because first, let's say we are attached to something, then first we need to let go of it, and then we incline to something else by seeing its qualities. Usually this is the procedure the Buddha does, okay? So I would try to maintain this order. First, the disadvantages of what you want to abandon, for example, unwholesome deeds, or even more subtle things you want to abandon, you want bad habits you want to let go of. And then developing the disadvantages of these sense objects or sensual pleasures in general. Then your mind kind of lets go of that. The lust reduces, because if the lust is established, it's difficult to change, difficult to see the qualities of the other. It's not as strong, not as powerful. So first you kind of let go of that, and then now the mind is looking for something, you give it to it. This is good. Look at all these qualities I can achieve by doing this. Then your mind inclines to it. Okay? And this you can do repeatedly, because our mind keeps kind of going back to the sense objects and so on. So you can do that repeatedly, and it will become stronger. It will become more mature, let's say. This reflection will help you mature. So I will just keep this pattern of disadvantages first and then advantages, but then you can incorporate whatever you like, whatever you feel that helps your mind calm down. If you are, for example, a person who has the tendency to have aversion, for example, then you can even do some metta, for example. You can take a stanza of metta, a verse of metta, or the metta kammatthana itself. You can just, for a minute, you can pay attention to that kammatthana of metta, for example, that person you like, a dear person, may that person be well and happy, for example. That can be a preparation for your deeper kammatthana later. Or many other things you can use and make your own preparation, which can help you calm down. And this is different for each person, so you can take some time to observe yourself and observe what helps you. I think it's quite flexible.
Since you also said great advice, Bhante, thank you. And since you've unmuted yourself, I'll pass over to you.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, but I just wanted to say that I think what you're teaching right now coincidentally, it's a follow-up, a nice follow-up to Bhante Sanatavihari's session last week, because he was actually focusing on Buddha Nusati, but he was
nice.
Giving a talk on that topic more based on the
you said something, some Vietnam.
So I think this is a really nice follow-up.
I've seen something about it. The way they practice, I think it was in Vietnam or something like that, no?
Correct. Yeah. But so he was talking about it from the Pure Land tradition. But
okay.
I think it's a nice follow-up.
Yes.
Looking at Buddha Nusati, Dhamma Nusati itself, and also I personally I do follow Bhante Sujata, so we go to his regular sessions on Wednesday night, and we always start with Itipiso Bhagawa. Mm-hmm. We do that chanting first and the meditation, so it helps to kind of evoke that kind of feeling. So I have actually included the translation of your chant previously, Bhante, in case people want to also know what it means. Yes. So I put it in the chats as well. And I personally, I'm a bit of a singer, so I usually like to use a little bit of melody for that, which also kind of helps bring out that kind of feeling more in me personally. So
yeah, sure.
Itipiso Bhagawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijaccarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttara Purisada Masarati, something like that.
Yes. Yeah, this can even be a type of puja, There is Saddha puja, is a type of puja for the triple jam. If that's your intention, that's your mindset, even that type of intonation, that type of singing is a type of merit. You can make merit in this way. Saddha puja it's called.
I think maybe Sing can start a Spotify channel so we can all do the puja together. That was a quick demo, but not
actually, on that note also, Bhante, sorry if you don't mind, I'd like to ask another question. Is this equivalent to, because Sophia mentioned earlier that, where are we placing our mind? Where are we resting? But then you said that, it's actually, you're resting on the thought itself, like the reflection. So is this equivalent to like Maranasati, the death contemplation, or even Asubha practice, like, contemplating on, the decay and the rotting process of the corpse and things like that? I know this, but is this similar?
You mean
in terms of the resting the mind that Sophia was talking about before, because you were thinking.
Yeah. In terms of thinking about the reflection, right? Reflection versus Maranasati?
Yeah, Maranasati or even Asubha.
Or Asubha meditation, yes. So some reflections, they are used like this, like tools to help prepare the mind and so on, as I've discussed, right? But they are not really used as objects that will lead you, like, let's say, deep into deeper meditation, into deeper states of concentration, mindfulness, and so on. But for example, the Maranasati or Marananusati, and as you said, the Asubha Kamatana, for example, they can be used as reflections. But they also can be used as kamatana. So with the Asubha, you can actually reach the suppression of hindrances and attaining absorption with Asubha Kamatana. And with the Maranasati, you can attain the suppression of hindrances. So that's neighborhood concentration, no? Let's say the concentration before absorption. So they are enough as kamatanas themselves to give you the conditions you need to remove the hindrances, practice vipassana, and attain nibbana. So we need to suppress the hindrances to attain nibbana. So they fulfill that, let's say, they fulfill that role. They are able to fulfill that role in the practice of samadhi, in the practice of concentration. But not any reflection, I think, can fulfill that role, can take you deeply. So some of them are just reflections, and some of them can be actually used as kamatanas to go deep and fulfill your practice.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante. And I just wanted to also ask about the suppression of hindrances that you talked about a lot. The first question is, I think the differences between suppression of the hindrances in a skillful way versus the non-skillful way. So one is perhaps repression of them, like not seeing things clearly. One is perhaps, the skillful way. But the second question is the purpose of suppression of hindrances, because we learn a lot about jhanas, but we also learn that jhana doesn't really give you, doesn't really take you there unless if there's wisdom that arises. So how do we actually, because it's an eightfold path, and we need right view and wisdom to arise that would break through the ignorance.
Yes.
So how does the suppression of those hindrances that you discuss lead to us kind of having insights or wisdom arising?
So the suppression of the hindrances, I say, is the Pali term is nivarana vikambana. Okay, so this happens when we're able to concentrate the mind, let's say, enough that we establish what is called upachara samadhi. So there is, when we are developing concentration, okay, let's do it like this. We always have some concentration in the mind, okay? But we are able to strengthen this mental state. So that's let's say the first thing we do in meditation is to be able to strengthen your concentration. And there are 3 levels of concentration. So we need, in order to achieve, let's say, the goal of removing all unwholesome mental states, we need to develop some amount of concentration. And that is upachara samadhi. Okay? Just our normal concentration without having developed anything won't be able to attain Maggaphala and remove the defilements completely, Okay? So we need some power of concentration. And then, during this process of developing concentration, there is a moment in which the mind becomes quite free. How can I say? In a very the mind levels up in what comes to freedom, in what regards freedom from these unwholesome mental states that keep the mind down, weaken the mind. Okay. The hindrances, they are like this. Imagine a river flowing, but this river has many outlets. If that river has many outlets, then it will not flow strong. Okay, it will be weak in terms of flow, right? Its power. But if it has no outlets, it's all, let's say, concentrated, it's not weakened by other outlets, then it can flow strong enough. Okay? So the mind with the hindrances, you can read about this in Avarana Sutta. The mind with the hindrances is weakened, like this river with the outlets. And when it's burdened or weakened by the hindrances, we cannot attain Nibbana. Okay? We cannot attain concentration, absorption, and we cannot destroy the defilements. Okay? So we need to remove the hindrances enough. This is also a long process, but enough would be to achieve this nivarana vikambana, which is what these kamatanas, all of these meditation subjects are able to offer. All of them take you deep enough into this practice of concentration that you're able to suppress the hindrances. So they all give you this enough concentration for the next step. So for example, some people, they don't want to spend time developing jhanas, for example. As you said, the jhanas have many benefits, but they are not essential for meditation, right? Even though in some suttas, the Buddha describes the Noble Eightfold Path, and when he describes right concentration, he says the first, second, third, and fourth jhanas, right? Yes, that's the ideal concentration that the Buddha says. But
the concentration right before jhana, which is offered by many kamatanas such as Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, Sanghanusati, or Marananusati, or four-element meditation. All of these kamatanas, they cannot lead to absorption, full absorption, but they do lead to this suppression of hindrances and what is called upachara samadhi, vicinity concentration. So that concentration is enough to fulfill the sama samadhi of the Noble Eightfold Path, you understand? To be able to, let's say, practice vipassana and attain nibbana, okay? The concentration in the Noble Eightfold Path, in the lokuttara sense, when you actually see nibbana, it's always a jhana. That's important to keep in mind. One thing is the concentration you need to develop vipassana and then attain the path, okay? That's the concentration I'm saying. You need at least upachara samadhi. You need to suppress the hindrances, okay? But the concentration that arises on the noble path is necessarily first, second, third, or fourth jhana. There is no other option, okay? It must be one of these four jhanas. So when the Buddha explains, okay, this is the Noble Eightfold Path, he's talking about that magga chitta, we call it, the path consciousness. And that path consciousness sees nibbana, realizes nibbana, removes defilements, understands suffering, and it's always a first, second, third, or fourth jhana. So in terms of concentration, this is what you will have always in that moment of the Noble Path. So here, a little bit technical, but it would really clarify if you could, for example, investigate or understand more about the 8 factors of the Noble Path, then you have it you can divide it into 2. The path as a worldly path, not the path to sensual pleasures, that's not what I mean. It's these good, wholesome consciousness, states of consciousness, when they are developed before seeing nibbana, okay? So this is what we're doing when we are meditating, especially in the beginning, for example, or during vipassana. We're developing what are called lokiya states. They are states of mind which are good, wholesome, and they are developing the path, the correct path, but they are still not noble state. They are still not the lokuttara, which is the supramundane path. So we can call it the mundane path and the supramundane path, okay? I'll just try to summarize it now, but it's an interesting topic to understand this difference. And I think because of lack of understanding of this, some people misunderstand this factor of right concentration. Okay? So in the ultimate sense, yes, you need jhana to see nibbana. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Bante.
Okay.
I'm not sure I 100% understand,
Okay.
but I have a level that I can contemplate on. And we're at time 8:33.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Would you like to finish off the session with a dedication of merits?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
all right?
Sophie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we discussed Dhamma, we meditated, we reflected on many useful things that will help you in meditation, hopefully. I hope you apply these things, and I hope after a while you have a very good preparation, warm-up for your meditation, which will help you help your mind mature and achieve those states you want to achieve as soon as possible. And we certainly made a lot of merit. I also make some merit myself, so I share this merit with you. I hope you rejoice in it. And we can share this merit with all beings, as is traditional, and it's another way of making merit. And may all of this merit that we have accumulated with our studies, by investigating the teaching, by investigating these principles, these truths, and by meditating, by cultivating good, wholesome mental states, suppressing unwholesome mental states, all of this merit, may it be a condition for us to attain nibbana, as soon as possible, to attain your aspirations as soon as possible. May we also share it with all living beings, humans, devas, and so on, and may they rejoice in this merit. May they also be well, happy, protect the sasana, protect those who practice the Dhamma, and may they also be able to attain Nibbana as soon as possible. So we can do it in Pali, no? Idang me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sabba sattanang bhajini. Te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labhantu. Sadhu, sadhu,
sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante. This was a very informative and also practical session. Thank you very much for joining Metta Center again to share your wisdom with us and to share such a beautiful practice, which is reflections on the good qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. We always love having you sharing the authentic Pali translations and also explaining it in plain words whenever possible, so that we can get a different picture that's close to what the Buddha intended to say, as close as possible, I guess. So thank you, and I hope you have a lovely, lovely evening, day or evening wherever you are, and we look forward to having you back again, Bhante.
Thank you very much, Sophia.
Thank you.